Miraculous Ladybug. When I say those words, a lot of you are probably taken back to a very turbulent time in elementary school. In fact, I hope when I said those words, it brought you back into a visceral, traumatic flashback to those days. For those who are unaware, Miraculous Ladybug is a French show that aired in October of 2015, and it is about two superheroes who have secret identities who fall in love with each other, and they kind of create a little love square, like they fall in love with the wrong versions of each other, if that makes sense. The show's target audience is technically like really young children, but over the years it's garnered an audience of a little bit older, like adolescents to young adults, aka me. I'm one of those losers who still watches kids shows because they're like a crazy comfort for me. And recently I have started watching this again, and it has become a crazy hyperfixation. I was literally debating not making this, but it is so strong, the urge to just talk about Miraculous Ladybug content. Voices, miraculous voices in my head. That's what it sounds like in my head 24/7 right now. I don't like it either. I've been drawing them. I have been drawing Ladybug and Cat Noir like I'm still in 5th grade. Somebody needs to free me, and I've decided that somebody is you. Getting back on track. The show is known for having a very unstable plotline, less than stellar animation, and just overall being kind of cringy, but despite that, it's garnered a fan base that is so dedicated to it, like more than anything I've ever been in my entire life. I personally was introduced to it in about 4th or 5th grade by a friend, and I was instantly hooked because I found the dynamics really interesting between our main characters and love interest, Ladybug and Cat Noir. I genuinely found the dynamic so interesting and engaging, but after a little bit it kind of just lost my attention naturally over time, so I went back to doing more important things like making rainbow looms and watching My Little Pony, and doing both at the same time. Recently, however, TikTok started to bring me edits of Cat Noir, and suddenly I was the one having those crazy flashbacks I gave you earlier. Those edits had me in a trance. It had me saying crazy shit like, wow, maybe I should rewatch Miraculous. Which brings us to today. Long story short, the algorithm doomed me. For the last 2 weeks, I've been binging this show so hard it completely reopened that elementary school hyperfixation I had. What's different now though, is I'm now an adult. I'm now an adult, and I can see how crazy this show is now. I have been crashing out for the past 2 weeks and I've had no one to spill it to. That's not true. My best friend has heard a lot about this. So now you have to deal with it. Well, to today's video. I want to preface that despite what I'm about to say and how passionate I'm going to say it, I still love Miraculous. I will continue to watch the show as a comfort show till the day I die, especially the first few seasons. They mean so much to me and hold a very special place in my heart. That being said, I will not hesitate to criticize it because I love it and I know it has so much potential. The potential of the show keeps me up at night. Another thing I want to mention, I haven't watched season 6 yet. Honest reason, I am trudging through season 5 right now because I've been crashing out that hard. I've been tweaking. I know a few of the main plot points that lead to season 6 and that are kind of going on right now. I know that Marinette and Adrian are together. Spoilers, well, I know that Hawkmoth is over. When I say I've been trudging through season 5, I mean I've literally had to take breaks between episodes. Not because it's like bad, it's more just like a lot. I also have 2 jobs, so I unfortunately can't afford to just sit around and watch cartoons all day, even though I wish I could. That would be the best life, honestly. But like I said, revisiting Miraculous has made me realize how infuriating the show was. I had multiple moments where I was just sitting shell-shocked, staring at the screen, or genuinely arguing with the air. So why am I so mad? Let's break it down. Let's look into it. First off, the writing is all over the place. I think this is something anyone who's watched the show will kind of know, but the writing is like bad. This show is for kids. Why is the storyline deeper than the MCU or BTS's most beautiful moment in life lore? Why am I struggling to figure out what's happening? It wasn't even that I was struggling to figure out what was happening. I was struggling to keep track of everything. They jump around so much. What is this? What is any of this? What is going on? Why is so much happening? I'm so overstimulated. Like, the weird thing is, so much is happening, but nothing is happening at the same time. It sometimes feels so empty because nothing really matters. One major complaint I've heard about the show as a drive-by from the fandom is, why the fuck am I holding this pen? Get the fuck out of here. One major complaint I've heard about the show as a drive-by from a lot of people in the fandom is that it's really repetitive and overdone and just like recycling itself. I thought they were like just exaggerating a little bit. I remember watching the show and being like, God, this is so peak, bro. But no, they were right. But now let's let's completely forget about the filler episodes, the random akumatizations, the reason characters to the point that I didn't even know that Paris had this low of a population, all the episodes that had literally no depth. Genuinely, I don't have the energy to deal with that right now, so we're not going to get into it. This show has been going in circles for the past like 10 years. All they do is string their fans along with the idea of an identity reveal. It never happens, and when it does happen, they rip it away at the very last moment. This is emotional manipulation. If I took a shot every time they revealed their identities, fell in love, lived a happy life, got it ripped away because one of them got akumatized and told Mr. Mothman about their identities, and then had to redo everything and save the day just for it to not matter in the end, with literally no consequences in the grand scheme of things, I would still be way too sober to be watching this show. Sometimes it feels like they're just writing it as they go, and then they just forget certain plot points or elements that they brought into the picture and never talk about it ever again. Like, it's obvious that they had a beginning and an end goal and all the major plot points lined up, that how they wanted the story to progress, excuse me, but in between that, the story just feels like a bunch of run-on sentences sometimes. And then add on the fact that they're reusing characters and everything like that, it just starts to feel so empty and soulless. Like, what is even happening? What am I waiting for? Why am I watching this show? And because of that, the way a lot of the romantic dynamics have been like turned and twisted and redone and like done in different ways kind of annoys me. Not in the way that I wish they didn't explore them, because I do like how they explore them, but sometimes it's obvious they're literally just trying out a different dynamic because they feel like it and not because it fits in the story. I don't know. What I mean by that is that they always go back and forth between them, and it never feels like there's any progression because of it. They're just kind of jumping around in different plot points. That being said, I wish the one they'd bring back is Lady Noir. I miss it so much. No, it's not just for the Cat Noir moments. No, it's not. I swear. The show experimenting with different dynamics and love interests and bringing other characters into the mix to kind of break up that square and make it a bit more interesting is a good thing. Exploring that all is a good thing. If the show stayed static the entire time, I would be upset. That would be boring. Say what you want about the show, it's not boring. One thing that I personally believe, and I think this is why it bothers me so much, I feel like the whole point of the show is the fact that they're in love with each other, but they don't know it. They're in love with each other, but in the wrong forms. You know what I mean? The reason I bring that up is because I think that Marinette and Adrian being together kind of ruins the magic for me just a little bit. Mostly because it kills one side of that square. But that being said, I haven't seen season 6 yet. Maybe it works out. From an outside perspective, even when I first heard that, I was like, so that was a choice. Maybe it's a really good choice. I don't know. And I also know there are people who love Adrianette and will defend it with their life. I might just be... Speaking of season 6, I guess I can't really get away with not talking about the new animation. To be honest, I didn't really want to include this part just because personally I think it looks a lot better. I really like the new animation. I just don't really like some of the new character designs. Cat Noir. Cat Noir. What did they do to you? Adrian too. Adrian used to be a baddie. What? Who's? Overall, I think it's a lot better. Though I do think that the stylization of the characters is a bit too much on the realistic side in the sense of the proportions and the features of them. Just for how animated they've always wanted the motions and expressions of these characters to be, it kind of goes a little bit farther than that for me. It's no secret that it was meant to be like an anime. You can tell that when trying to watch the earlier seasons. You can tell they really wanted to try to make it an anime in 3D. And even from some clips I've seen with season 6, I can tell they're still trying to go for that, whoa, like super animated style, which is a style I love. I just think that the character models don't really reflect that, if that makes sense. That being said, it still looks a lot better and more appealing than the old animation, but I will always die on the hill that Miraculous would kill it as a 2D animated show or even a 2.5D. Girl, imagine. That might just be the 2D artist in me coming out. I think it's on top, but I like the new animation and I think it causes some really pretty scenes. I see everyone saying that people who disagree that the new animation is better is blinded by nostalgia. I hate to agree with it. I hate to agree with it because I'm blinded by nostalgia too. You heard me rant about this for so long. You know I'm blinded by nostalgia. I can still admit that that looks so much better. Miraculous Ladybug will always be a very unrewarding show. That's because the rewarding part of the show is in the dynamic of the characters before they've gotten in their relationship. It's the potential that draws fans in, which means the writers can't really commit to making one dynamic or one ship endgame, because once they do, there's not really for the show to do in terms of the personal lives of their superheroes, of their main characters. And that really sucks because the whole point of the show, the whole way it works, is balancing saving Paris and being a normal girl with a normal life. But still, it's kind of funny because despite that, the show is just rewarding enough and has just enough character to it that it really draws you in and makes you care about what happens next, even though you know you shouldn't. It has the crumbs of potential, and those crumbs taste so good. It's insane. I will sit through this cringy ass show because I'm invested and I want to see where it goes. And if it ever finishes, I'll probably watch it all and you'll get another video just like this where I ramble and it doesn't make any sense at all. So get ready for another video in another 3 weeks when I finish the show and I start tweaking out again. Okay, that's it.